People coming in?
Not yet.
Yes?
No.
Let me know when the first one arrives. Number one has just arrived. Do we know who that person is?
Chaya Rivka. Oh, there's a few. And Gail is with us, and
we have to do like Rapper Room. I see Chaya Rivka. I see
Gail, and I see who else is coming.
Okay, so maybe I'll whistle a tune until they all come.
It's not coming out too good.
Okay, we're on after that musical interlude. We're ready to start lesson number 3 of the Talmud's version, or its rendition, shall we say, of the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. So we finished up yesterday with Vespasian. First of all, it was Nero who came, the first general to come to Israel, and he realized that he was going to get punished for this, so he converted to Judaism and ran away. I don't know which order, but that was it. And he was replaced by someone named Vespasian. And Vespasian, he was declared king. There were a messenger came while he was speaking to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai to tell him he was a king. And he was getting dressed, and he had one shoe on while he was speaking to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, and he couldn't get the other shoe on because there's a thing that says that if you hear good news, your body swells, and his foot swelled up. He couldn't get a shoe on. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai told him, well, what you need to do is see somebody you really don't like, because it says if you see something that you don't like, your body will shrivel a little. So they called in someone whom he couldn't stand, and his body shriveled, and he put his other shoe on. And he asked for, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was asked by Vespasian, give me some wishes and see if I can fulfill them. And one was the family of Rabbi Gamliel should be saved, save the city of Yavna, and to heal Rabbi Tzadok, who had been fasting for 40 years. And now we're all caught up. So when Vespasian arrived in Rome, he begot General Titus to go to Israel and finish off the job which he didn't complete. And Titus was a very, very nasty, horrible person, really, truly. He's up there with the, he's down there with the great, horrible people that have existed in this world. And actually, the Talmud does not describe the actual battle. I guess it's not necessary for our understanding. But after the battle was over, Titus went into the Beit HaMikdash, he went into the Holy of Holies, and he brought along in his hand a harlot. And what he did was he took out a Torah scroll, and his attitude was, God, I'm going to prove to you that I don't care about you. And so he took out a Sefer Torah, rolled it out on the floor, and he did something with the harlot on the Sefer Torah. And after he was finished, he took a sword and there's a curtain separating the Holy of Holies and the rest of the Beit HaMikdash. He took his sword and yanked it right through the curtain and tore the curtain. And blood started coming out of the curtain. And Titus said, "Oh my gosh, I just killed God." That was what he actually thought. And so he took that same curtain, which had bloodstains on it at this point, and he put a vessel, all the vessels of the Holy Temple, of the Beit HaMikdash, he put them in there, wrapped it up, and headed off to Rome to become a hero there for his great victory over the Jewish people. Just interestingly, that it is said there are many verses that are proving different things that I just mentioned. And one thing that was proven of God's patience of not punishing right away, and he certainly proved his patience with this man Titus. So, Titus was on a boat going back to going back to Rome, and a huge storm started. And he really thought he was going to drown. And so he made this declaration to God. He said, "Listen, you're very good in water. You drowned Pharaoh, you drowned Tisha, another general, and you're going to drown me. That doesn't prove anything. Let's land on land and see how good you are on land." And so Hashem said back to him, "Okay, make you a deal. Well, he didn't put it in those terms, but I'm just bringing it up to 2021 lingo. He said, "Well, bring you to land, and a puny little creature is going to end your life." And the puny little creature was called Gnat, but with a G in front of it, Jeanette. No, the creature's name was not Jeanette; it was Gnat, or just Gnat. And if anyone that we know has the name Gnat, it has no relationship whatsoever. And why was he called a puny little creature? Because this gnat would eat, but it didn't have anything, it didn't go out the other way. It just ate and whatever. Anyway, so when he landed in Rome, a gnat flew into his nose. Now, a gnat is a very, very small thing. And it flew into his nose, and it was going bang, 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 constantly banging against his head from the inside, driving him crazy. And after a number of weeks, he was once walking past a blacksmith shop. And I guess they called the blacksmith, they call him a smithy. I think that's the real term. And, or smithy, or whatever it is. I'm sure one of the Gershonites will correct me on that 100%. And so the smithy has on his anvil, and has an anvil and hammer going bang, bang, banging something. And that must have shocked the gnat, because the gnat stopped banging on Titus's head. So he said, "Well, you know, I'm onto something." So he hired blacksmiths to come to his palace, or his residence, or wherever it was, to bang on anvils all day to keep the gnat from banging on him. And he had a deal. If you were not Jewish, you got paid 4 zuz. I don't know the equivalent today of a zuz. It's not a heck of a lot of money. And if you were Jewish, your pay was, he said, your pay was the pleasure you get watching your enemy suffer. So, but this only lasted for 30 days. And then the gnat got used to the banging, and he went back to his old ways. And soon thereafter, Titus died, and they opened up his skull to see, was there really a gnat in there? Sure enough, there was a gnat that had actually grown, and that gnat, according to modern measurements, was 2 ounces heavy. And there are other descriptions of that gnat as well. Okay. That is our old ex-friend Titus. Now Titus, there's a commentator virtually in every Chumash, the 5 books of Moses. One of the commentaries is called Unclus. And Unclus was someone who converted to Judaism, and he happened to be the nephew of Titus. And so through some magic, he actually, after Titus died, this is what it says. After Titus died, he raised him up and asked him, "What's your punishment? What are they doing to you in this next world?" And he said, oh, I forgot to say one thing. So before his death, just before, he put in his will to please burn his body, take the ashes and scatter them over the 7 seas so that the Jews can't collect them all and bring me to judgment. Judgment, I guess, after his death. So he said his punishment in the next world is that they collect all the things from around the world and they punish him for it again. And then the next day, they're all scattered out again, and they do it every day. And it is his punishment. And this whole section of the Talmud ends with a thought and said, the severity of shame is, we can see that by one of the camera crew just sneezed, so I just had to say that. Not mute. We're very relaxed here. One of the camera crew. Yeah. Right. Anyway, Bar Kamsa was embarrassed. If you remember 2 nights ago, he was embarrassed by the fact that he got thrown out of the banquet hall, and he caused the whole thing. And the Talmud says we see the severity of shame, that shame can bring the worst destruction in the world. And really, really, I say from the bottom of my heart, think before you act with people, especially in public. You never know the level of shame they have. I'll tell you something about shame for me. Just to give you an idea how it applies to everybody. Now, I remember the house we were living in, and we moved out of that house when I was 4. So I was either 4 or 3 when this happened. It was raining cats and dogs. And, well, mothers, they get over their head. There's lots to do, lots of changing clothes and whatever stuff mothers do. And my mother thought it would be a good idea, since a lot of the kids in the neighborhood were out there playing in the rain, enjoying getting splashed, that we all, she sent my brothers out. They put on she helped them, or else by themselves, they put on their bathing suits. And she didn't feel like putting on my bathing suit. She said, just go out in your underwear, it's okay. Well, I went out there, and some girl said, he's in his underwear. And I will never forget how embarrassed I was that she did this, and I ran back in the house. So even little kids can be embarrassed. And watch the feelings for everybody, because it's really severe. And that about concludes tonight's thing. Tomorrow, I'm not sure. We're going to keep it posted.
Right. It may be 4 o'clock or maybe 4:30.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And we'll talk then. Oh, so one very nice listener made a suggestion that I put the stuff, these 3 sessions up in YouTube, and you can watch them on Tisha. So
hopefully we'll see you tomorrow.
Hopefully we'll do that, and hopefully it'll be good for everybody. So thank you very much for tuning in. It means a lot to me, and see you around.